Okay. A little balance. Are we doing a balance or are we not?
No, there's a balance.
Okay. We good? Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Attorney General Dave Sunday, and I'm here to announce legal action that will protect a tremendous amount of Pennsylvanians and their families. This legal action is a lawsuit against the social media giant TikTok, specifically how TikTok misrepresents its app as age appropriate for teens as young as 13, who will then continue and consume the adult content on that app. This includes profanity, drinking, drug use, individuals in sexually suggestive situations, activities that 13, 14, and 15-year-olds should not be exposed to at such a young age. To achieve a 13-plus age rating in app stores, TikTok claims mature audience content is infrequent on their apps. Our investigation reveals that this could not be further from the truth. And it is TikTok's 13-plus age rating that opens the gate for kids. That age rating gives parents the illusion of safety, but actually opens the door to putting content literally in the palm of our kids' hands whenever they want it. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, because that is just the way that TikTok wants it. Even worse, TikTok intentionally designed its platform to be addictive to young people. I say that again. TikTok intentionally designed its platform to be addictive to young people, maximizing time that kids spend on their platform to grow their bottom line. They want users, including children, to crave the app. They want users to endlessly scroll while they rake in astronomical ad revenue. I'm standing here today to say that enough is enough, and my office is taking action with this lawsuit. This is not healthy behavior for children. And what's more, the many students I spoke with during a series of teen talks this past spring know it is not healthy for them, but they feel trapped. And for those of you that have not seen it, we have a Teen Talk report that we put together that lists a lot of the information from those unbelievably important conversations we had with teens all throughout Pennsylvania. I strongly believe that the information gathered during extensive investigation shows overwhelmingly that TikTok designed their app to promote infinite scrolling that can deteriorate and decay a child's mental wellness. At a time when kids are already susceptible to exterior pressures as they grow and mature into young adults. But when TikTok is constantly, infinitely in our kids' view streams, to where a child is essentially trapped in a scroll, we see TikTok as inhibitors to healthy adolescent development. It works directly against the teachings and mentorship of parents, educators, and other positive influencers in our children's lives. So we have filed a civil lawsuit in Allegheny County Court alleging violations of the Pennsylvania Consumer Protection Law. The lawsuit alleges, and this is a high-level view of the suit, that TikTok's 13-plus age rating opens the gates for kids to content that's beyond their years, and that TikTok has done nothing to limit kids' time on the platform. In fact, this suit alleges TikTok's view of their audience demographic very simply is the more the merrier. This suit seeks to put into place effective barriers and safeguards that will consider the child consumer's well-being and safety. And that's an important point I want to restate. The suit seeks to put into place effective barriers and safeguards. Today is an action rooted very simply in protecting children, as are our previous actions demanding accountability from big tech companies and AI producers. So what is TikTok and who uses it? In a world that has drastically changed in recent years to connect people in digital spaces, TikTok is a giant. They are certainly not the only show in town, but their presence online and share of the marketplace is massive. In the past 5 years, TikTok has either been the most downloaded app globally each year or is close to the very top. On any given day, nearly 100 million Americans use TikTok. Millions of Pennsylvanians use TikTok every single day. What is most concerning and at the root of our lawsuit's purpose is that more than 2/3 of children ages 13 to 17 use TikTok. More than 1 in 5 kids that age report to using it almost constantly. Data for kids under 13 is harder to find, but we know that preteens are also using the platform as well. There is plenty of healthy entertainment available on TikTok. Social media allows us to be closer than ever to celebrities, athletes, and musicians that we like. However, as easy as a child can watch The Rock make breakfast or hang out with his kids, they can see someone drinking alcohol or consuming drugs. And that is what is often glorified. Think about how young some children are when they have their first smartphone. Is it 8? Is it 9? That's when they can start being exposed to themes and depictions well beyond their years. And how is this platform and content so readily available to kids? I mentioned earlier a very high-level summation of this lawsuit. The full complaint is available to all of you to read in depth, and you will all have a copy of this. So I will not cover every detail, but to be a bit more specific, the lawsuit's characterization of TikTok's shortcomings and neglect are as follows. First off, to fully consume TikTok, to watch TikTok, or post to TikTok, you have to download it from an app store. These app stores, just like a movie theater with its inventory of films, has ratings and age restrictions. Those ratings are essentially determined by the platforms and the information submitted by the companies profiting from the platforms. Our lawsuit alleges that TikTok deliberately misrepresents their platform to achieve an age rating of 13 plus. TikTok does this by tailoring their answers to obtain that age 13 plus rating and claiming that their app contains infrequent amounts of, again, by claiming that the app contains infrequent amounts of alcohol, tobacco, or drug use or references, sexual content or nudity, mature and suggestive themes, and profanity or crude humor. So why do they do that? It's basic economics. The more users that are on their app, the more eyeballs for advertising, which is their main revenue stream. So having an age 13 plus rating is very important for their bottom line. Secondly, and related, the age restrictions that TikTok reports to maintain are essentially worthless. I say again, the age restrictions that TikTok purports to maintain are essentially worthless. Approximately 70% of under 16-year-olds on social media self-report as being over 18. Safety features such as restricted mode and family pairing often fail and are easily circumvented. TikTok knows that restricted mode does not work and does not meet consumer expectations. Yet TikTok touts restricted mode as a safety feature without warning parents that restricted mode does not meaningfully restrict the availability of mature content. The next prong of our allegations regard TikTok's addictiveness. To be clear, TikTok designers are very good at what they do. They aim to present a product that users feel they cannot be without, and they succeed. We've all heard of FOMO, right? That addictiveness, fear of missing out, that addictiveness harms children. We allege that TikTok knowingly created platform features intended to cause excessive, compulsive, and addictive use, ignoring that young people are most susceptible to and harmed by those very features. Features like push notifications and infinite scroll are meant to draw users in and keep them there. This past spring, students told me about something that I've never heard of, but every single student almost in our teen talks shared with me the concept of bed rot. Have you heard this term? I see a few younger people shaking their head up and down. If you haven't heard of this term, you were like I was. It is a term, and this is a known term in usage every day. That term is for when they lose hours at a stretch in the morning when they wake up or in the evening, just scrolling on their phones for hours. Bed rot. TikTok's infinite scroll feature promotes that. And if you haven't been on the app in a while, they will send you a very enticing push notification to try and lure you back. In fact, what we have learned that TikTok has considered features that would reduce compulsive use, but has chosen not to implement them. They've done just that in other countries, essentially valuing dollars over the wellness of their consumers. And what are we seeking in this lawsuit? This lawsuit seeks to remedy the behaviors I've detailed. We want TikTok's app to be honestly marketed in app stores with full disclosure of what the app contains so that the app stores provide an appropriate rating, which will allow parents to understand exactly what their kids are getting themselves into. We want real age restriction and verification safeguards in place. And this filing today in Allegheny County Court is the first action in what will be a long fight to achieve those goals. So no real progress is quick and easy. But this is a cause that's worth fighting for. The wellness, the mental well-being, the safety of our children is an absolute critical component of who we are as a society, and it is a cause that we will always fight for, and that is exactly why we are doing this. The wellness of our children and preserving safe spaces for them needs to grow. Is there any more important battle that could possibly exist than putting our children in a place of safety and in a place where they can succeed in life? I can't think of many. I have with me today members of the Attorney General's office who have worked very diligently to help put us in this position today. And I have with me today First Deputy Attorney General Kara Bowser. I have Executive Deputy Attorney General Sean Kirkpatrick. I have Deputy Attorney General Jonathan Burns. I have Suzanne Bernstein, who is an investigator in the office. Susan Bernstein, Deputy Attorney General, and Mia Paone, an investigator in the office. They've worked very, very hard on this to put us in this place. I referenced other actions my office has taken regarding modern tech, AI chatbots, and social media as well. We take those actions just like this one, and this is important. It is not to prevent the evolution of technology. There are wonderful, amazing things that come with technology, but it is critical that that technology does not evolve and happen at such a cost to our children. So I've said it before that it's my core value that informs this work. Technology and public safety are not mutually exclusive, and they can't be. I stood here a few months ago with teachers and students to announce the results of our Teen Talk series, which I mentioned earlier. I said that if social media companies did not take action to protect our children, then I would. Today is the first step, and there are more to come. So thank you all for attending this press conference. I will take a few questions at this time, and as this is now active litigation, obviously there are some things I can address and some things I cannot.
Yeah, so I have a question about the timing of this
Okay.
lawsuit. As far as I can tell, this is the first TikTok lawsuit since ownership has changed. You know, I've reported on this when it first happened in Indiana in 2022. Can you kind of talk to me about why now, and does that ownership change influence any part of your lawsuit compared to the previous iterations?
So I'm going to answer that in reverse order. So the ownership dynamic had nothing to do with our analysis in any way, shape, or form. In fact, you bring it up right now, I think it's the first time that someone has said that to me. But that being said, why now is because, you know, we have finite resources in the Attorney General's office. And when I came into office, we set priorities that were important. And with that being said, we want to make sure that when we file lawsuits, that these are lawsuits that are thoughtful, that we have investigated ourselves, that we are in a position to stand by that lawsuit. And that's not something one can do overnight. That takes time. It takes resources. It takes investigation. And that very simply is why we are filing the suit now, because we've achieved that part of the mission and we're now ready to file. So it was essentially it was a natural progress of making sure that we investigate something of this nature and do it the right way.
Can you talk just a little bit about the content, the issue of content and what's available to kids? Because I think, you know, probably everybody in this room's had access to the internet. In the early days, there were some parental control features, but a lot of this content people are already seeing on the internet in general. How do you balance that with also saying we potentially don't want to block free speech in some cases? I think there has to be some concern there as well.
So there's two parts to the lawsuit, generally two parts. And you can go through and you'll be able to read the whole complaint. But very simply, part one of the lawsuit has to do with the fact that TikTok, they are misrepresenting what is available on TikTok so that they can get a 13+ rating, which in turn is the rating that parents rely on to know what they are buying. That's unbelievably important. The second part of this has to do with the purposefully created addictive nature of this. And so those are the two general components of the lawsuit.
We just saw that, like, Meta, Facebook, they have a lawsuit. They've been ordered to pay like around $1 billion. We haven't necessarily seen them be required to change those algorithms, the infinite scrolling. Why do you think that your lawsuit, and we've said like TikTok has been sued before as well, why do you think this lawsuit is going to actually get this company to change their practices when it comes to the addictiveness?
So again, two-part answer here. The first one, so you referenced Meta. For the record, we're litigating that case as well, and our jury selection in that case starts 1 week from today in California. And with regard to this case, we are seeking that type of relief. And so as we proceed through the case, our primary goal, obviously we're seeking civil penalties and whatever else the court determines is appropriate. But our goal as we are driving this lawsuit is to argue for and advocate for and demand injunctive relief, because what we are seeing is not, to grab as much money as humanly possible. It's to ensure there's an environment that's as safe as humanly possible for children. And so that's the best I can answer that at this point.
Why have other lawsuits not succeeded in getting those injunctions?
Well, so there's a lot of lawsuits out there. There's a lot of lawsuits that are still in place. There's a lot of lawsuits that are moving into the jury trial phase. And so I would rather have a much larger sample size to be able to walk through that with you. And I would certainly be willing to do that in the future. But it just depends on the court. It depends on the state. It depends on what they're seeking. It depends on a million factors. So.
You're one attorney general in one state. As you mentioned, there's other lawsuits out there. Have you reached out to other folks to join forces? A. B, how about the U.S. attorney? Since this is an international company, but it's a national issue, any any reaching out to the feds? And three-part question, did you actually reach out to TikTok and tell them, hey guys, we're gonna sue you, here's what we want? Has there been any engagement with TikTok?
I don't know about how the questions are this morning, but they're all reverse order answers. So, so of course we have spoken with the company.
What they said?
Well, we've spoken with the company, and so we are here now. So the other part of that was, what was the other part of that?
You're one
Coordinating
attorney
with
general.
Coordinating with- thank you. So, I appreciate it.
What's the Fed
Yep.
U.S. attorney?
So the way this works is, shortly after I was elected, I realized very quickly that collaborative state work is the only way you can get some of these things done. And so I volunteered right off the bat, and I'm now co-chair of the Consumer Protection Committee, the Bipartisan Consumer Protection Committee for the National Association of Attorneys General. And through that, we work and collaborate together literally almost every day on a whole myriad of issues, And I can't speak, it would be wrong for me to speak to other states' current lawsuits, but I can tell you without question that we expect a collaborative process moving forward.
Is the uniqueness of this that you're going on the consumer protection law part? Is
That
is
is-
that the unique part to what you're doing?
That is a more unique part to it, yes. Yes, absolutely.
So two quick questions. I know you mentioned the addictive part of the lawsuit, but also the age rating. So are you looking into also getting the age rating changed for Instagram and YouTube as they have the 13+ rating as well?
So I mentioned earlier that this is the first because what we try to do is we try to collaborate with people prior to getting to this point. There are things I can't talk about here, but that we have worked with other companies on, and they have changed behavior. Like that does happen. And so what I can only say to you now, this is our first legal action like this that we're announcing today. But we are looking at a lot of things, and you will hear more from us in the near future.
And then one other quick question. I know you mentioned some safeguards, but maybe they're necessarily needing to be more. I know when you log onto the platform, you create an account, you do have to enter your age. There are, as you're scrolling, notifications that you get that you've been scrolling for a long time. At what point is it also the parent's responsibility to make sure that they know how much time their child is spending on the app and monitoring what they're paying attention to?
Right. I mean, that's a great point. And that was actually something that we discussed during our Teen Talks, which I will again show the Teen Talk report that's up here that I would love to share with you. And that question came up with the teens. Like this was a whole dialogue with the teens in the room. And these were 11th and 12th graders. And we actually posed that question to them. And I will say anecdotally, because I don't have the actual answers in front of me, but we heard a few different things. The first one was, hey, our parents are literally just trying to get through the day. They work, they come home, they make food, they make dinner. And then kids are separately living this parallel life where they're going to school and schools are bringing them to the technology. Schools utilize the technology. Their friends all use the technology. And so they're living like a parallel life. And so part of the age ratings are to give give parents the tools that they need to be able to make those informed decisions. And that's what we're seeking.
I think that's touching on this thing. Pennsylvania is just one state. Let's say you get some success here. Let's say you're able to get some kind of change out of them. Is this something as simple as like kids in Pennsylvania, if you're in the boundaries of Pennsylvania, these changes that you're seeking could potentially be in effect? Or is this something that would require much larger changes at TikTok's level?
I will say that there's power in numbers, and there are a lot of other states, to someone's point earlier, that have already sued, that are already in the litigation process. And oftentimes, and these are bipartisan actions, we come together, have conversations, and you will start to see a coordinated effort because, to your point, no one state, has even remotely the resources to be able oftentimes to fight these Herculean companies. But at the same time, we are the people that are tasked with having to fight this fight to protect kids, and they're worth it. I think I saw one other hand.
Yeah. I was curious if you're pursuing any sort of informational campaign to help parents know what their children are seeing on these apps along with the lawsuit, so that when there is that age restriction, they know what is actually going to be on the app. Because I know I have younger siblings. My parents don't have TikTok. They have no idea what's going on in the app. So
Right.
I was curious about that.
Right, that's a good point. I mean, and some organizations, like, they put out information to the kids on where to go to, like sports and whatnot, through the apps. And so that's just an aside. But so we have, through our Office of Public Engagement, we have educational presentations that we do literally all over the entirety of the Commonwealth. And we have some that are tailored directly to online safety. That's something that we do regularly. It's something that we're available to do if anyone's watching and anyone would want us to come and give that presentation. We are ready, willing, and able. And at the same time, I know there also is and I'm not sure what the state of it is, but I know that the state legislature has requested that the AG's office do even more with this type of education. That will come, and there will be hopefully some dollars that come with that as well, to help us get it out even more. So, short answer is, this is absolutely critical. Education of parents is huge. I'm a parent. I get it, and it's just so important. You know, working families fight every day just to get through the day, and we need to give them the help so that they don't have to try to figure out what an algorithm means, so that they can make the best decisions based on the information that's given to them, that's there solely for that purpose. So thank you. All right, I have no additional questions. Great. All right.
Just real quick, you know, with the explosive growth of platforms like TikTok or AI chatbots, where, you know, regulations and laws might take a while to catch up with some of these, what advice would you give parents on how they should approach some of these new platforms where content may be?
And again, I'm drawing from our Teen Talk conversation. The advice I give is talking to your child. Talk to them, understand what they're doing with their time, understand who they're communicating with on different platforms, know who their quote unquote their friends are on the platforms, ask them questions about it, and really start to be a part of their life in that space. I know it can be scary. Technology can be really scary for people that aren't used to it. But that type of communication is the key to victory. And at the same time, you know, they can reach out, if you're even a neighborhood group, right, at your local, I don't know, neighborhood group place, and you want to have the AG's office come out and give a presentation on safety, we are more than willing to do that. All right, awesome. Thank you, everybody.